Welcome to another episode of the Money Wheel Podcast. The journey to wealth starts here with your host, Kris Hutchinson.
Hello, my friend and future millionaire. Welcome to this episode of the Money Wheel. My name is Kris Hutchinson. So yesterday we talked about recording videos. Today we're going to talk about editing. Now, if you're the type of person that can sit down and go through the whole thing in one shot, that's great. That's not me. To be honest, doing these podcasts, even though they're only 5 minutes at a time, sometimes I really struggle with, just like right now, I'm just kind of blanking on what I need to say. But I kind of struggle with just kind of going with the flow with it, especially because I'm not using any notes. So when I'm doing a course, I definitely like to have my notes in front of me. I definitely like to take my time. But when I do those things, there's sometimes a lot of pauses in my presentation, and that's going to require a lot of editing. Sometimes I stumble over words, and when I do that, I try to take a pause and then just restate the entire sentence again, start over from the beginning of that sentence. Now, the reason I do that is when I'm go through and editing the video inside my editing software, where you'll see the audio file, just the jagged line where the kind of the waveform for the audio is, you'll see a blank section where there's silence. And that to me is an indicator that that's a section that I need to go look at and edit it. A lot of times I'll start a few seconds before that, listen to it, I kind of hear the mistake that I made, and then right away is the beginning of the sentence over again. So what I can do is just kind of cut before and after, take that part out, and splice the two things together. Sometimes, depending on the editing software that you're using, it can be a little difficult to learn that. I've used a couple different ones before. I've used Adobe Premiere. It's probably the one that I first started using. Right now, I've moved over to GarageBand, or not GarageBand, but iMovie for Apple. And there are some differences between the two. I recommend them both, depending if you're on a Mac or a PC. And there's plenty of great videos out there that kind of teach you how to use those softwares. But the kind of edits that I do with my videos are very simple. Click before, click after, and then cut the two, merge everything together. You might put some kind of a transition in between the two, especially if you're doing moving videos where it's, you on camera, so it kind of merge them. If you're doing slides, it makes it a lot easier because really the image doesn't change too much. So as you're doing your edits, the cut isn't going to look sloppy. They're barely even going to hear it. So that's everything I've got about editing your videos, and we'll see you next time on The Money Wheel.
Thank you for listening to the Money Wheel Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and like the podcast. For everything that was talked about in today's amazing show, go to moneywheelpodcast.com and get today's show notes, past episodes, and most importantly, you can connect with Don Shade on all his social media platforms. Again, at moneywheelpodcast.com. If you are just looking to email Don, you can email him at don@moneywheelpodcast.com. For a list of all our tools we use in our business, you can go to moneywheelpodcast.com/resources. Again, thank you for listening to today's podcast, and see you in our next episode of the Money Wheel Podcast.